The Pokemon world is huge. Not only are there the many regions we've seen in the mainline games, the regions we've seen in the spin-off games, but also there's so many regions that Game Freak has kind of mentioned throughout Pokedex entries, or maybe people talking, whatever it might be, and yet we haven't even seen these regions. So it's even more regions than we already have in the Pokemon world. We've already covered many of these regions, but guess what? There's even more. So today we'll be talking about that. Welcome back to the post where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we will be talking about the many different regions that have been referenced in Pokemon that we have not yet seen. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. First, we have the Quaxly line referencing another region. Yeah, that's right. Quaxly actually is not from Paldea. We're told this in its dex entry that they migrate from another region. Now, given the obvious Samba Dancer inspirations in Quaquaval's design, we can assume that this region would be set in Brazil, which is kind of the country of origin for the Samba dance. So yeah, Brazil as a Pokemon region would be really cool. I think this is one that a lot of people want. The idea of the Amazon rainforest being seen in a Pokemon region would be insane. Now, that said, this could be a reference to another region, because if you look at Quaxly's feet, he has these cute little blue duck feet, and that actually might be a reference to the blue-footed booby. I know, get your laughs out now, which is found in the Galapagos Islands. Now, whether this region that Quaxly migrated from is a reference to the Galapagos Islands or to Brazil, I think that we can all agree that we need this region to be seen, because a South American region is much needed and very much overdue in the Pokemon franchise. Next up, we have Tohoku. So this is interesting because this kind of is a region that you do get to go to, you just don't get to see all of it. In the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, specifically the first part of it, the Teal Mask, you get to go to a land called Kitakami. Now, what's interesting about this is that it is said that Kitakami is a new region, so it's not a part of Paldea, but it is never called the Kitakami region. It's called the Land of Kitakami. So this suggests to me that Kitakami is a portion of another region, and the region is not called Kitakami. Now, given that the name of this region is Kitakami, as well as a few other things we'll talk about, it's very likely that this region is based on Tohoku, Japan. You see, many Japanese regions have been used as settings for Pokemon games. Of course, there's the Kanto region being the inspiration for, if you can believe it, Kanto, the Kansai region being the setting for the Johto region, Hokkaido being the setting for Sinnoh, and Okinawa being the setting for Hoenn. Then aside from this, there are so many regions that are kind of used for spin-off games like the Ranger games, but Tohoku's never touched in either the mainline or the spin-off games. Tohoku is not used. Now, interestingly, in Tohoku, there is a village called, or a city called Kitakami, so that's likely where Kitakami's getting its namesake from. Also, in Tohoku is this lake. I'm blanking on the name of it, probably couldn't pronounce it anyways, but this lake is believed to have connections to the spiritual realm and was used as the inspiration for the crystal pool that you can find at the top of Oni Mountain in Kitakami. Not only this, but there's some smaller things too, like the fact that Okidogi is clearly a Shiba Inu, Shiba being a provenance in the Tohoku region. So yeah, this is very clearly supposed to be a Tohoku region. Will we see this region someday? I really hope so. I think it'll be really cool to one day, even if it's not Gen 10, if it's Gen 11, Gen 12, Gen 20, to get this new region, you're traveling around it, and you end up in a place called Kitakami, and you're like, I remember this. This was from that DLC way back when in Scarlet and Violet. You know, we'll all be holding on to our walkers talking about it. It'll be great. Another Japanese region was referenced as well, and this was in Pecharunt's story. We're told that Pecharunt comes from another region. It's very clearly, the little glimpses we get of it, Japanese inspired, but we know it can't be Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, or Sinnoh because, you know, Pecharunt isn't a Pokemon that you can find there, so it must be somewhere else. It can't be Tohoku either, because he came from somewhere else to this Tohoku region. A lot of people have summarized that it could be, or theorized rather, that it could be the Chugoku region. Now, this, I believe parts of it at least were used in a Pokemon Ranger game, but given those are spin-off games that Game Freak hasn't touched in like 15, almost 20 years, I would say that it's definitely up for grabs. But yeah, it looks like Chugoku is referenced as well. Now, one of the countries that people have always been asking to be turned into a Pokemon region is Australia. And believe it or not, Australia is a thing in the Pokemon world. And I'm not talking about because you can find wild Kangaskhan or wild Kamala in the Pokemon world. No, I'm saying Australia is directly referenced in the Pokemon universe. So, you know, there we go, guys. The Dream Region, it's real. It's happening. I don't know if it's happening, but it is real. In Pokemon Fire Red, in Ponyta's Dex entry, it talks about how it would be able to leap over Ayers Rock. Now, this is a formation found in Australia. We have not had a mention of Australia since then. So this was all the way back in Gen 3. It was a long time ago. So, you know, is it probably like a hint? No, it's not a hint. And also, too, even if we did get this line referenced again, I'm sure that they would change what this Dex entry is talking about, and it would instead reference some Pokemon rock that we actually have seen before, or Pokemon Tower or something we've seen before, because Pokemon, this is something that we've kind of seen, is that back then in Gen 3, Pokemon like to reference the real world. You know, in Fire Red, you're also getting references to Indian elephants, and I believe there's even a China reference in there. They reference Guyana, all this kind of stuff, and then over time, we're seeing them kind of retcon those. Indian elephant has been changed to Caparaja. China has been changed to the East. Guyana has been changed to just be a jungle. So, you know, I don't know. I don't think that the Ayers Rock would be mentioned anymore, but maybe one day we'll get an Australia region. We'll get a Pokemon equivalent of Ayers Rock, and then we will have Ponyta's Dex entry changed to say it can leap, whatever the Pokemon name for this is, in one fell swoop or whatever. That would be pretty neat. But yeah, Australia's real, guys. Let's celebrate. Lastly, we have South Kalos. This is such a fun one. So you know the Kalos region. You love the Kalos region, or actually many of y'all hate it. I love the Kalos region, and yet it's not all of it. If you look at the Kalos region, it is really just referencing northern France. It doesn't have any southern France in it other than Kalude City, which is said to be like the gateway to southern Kalos life. And yeah, that's kind of it. So what happened to South France? Well, we know it's out there. And we know it's out there because, for one, the reference in Kalude City to a southern Kalos means that, yeah, there's a southern Kalos. But then also, too, we know this because it was originally planned to be in a Pokemon game. That's right. Originally, after Pokemon X and Y, there was going to be a sequel to these games, or an enhanced version of these games. We know this because of the Terra leak, a big incident that happened in 2024, where basically Pokemon had a terabyte's worth of information hacked from them, and from that, people were able to find out cut content and cut games that existed in the Pokemon franchise. And if you look, too, at the kind of cycle, Pokemon typically like releases a game every year, but there was a gap year in 2015. It went X and Y in 2013, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in 2014, nothing in 2015, and then Pokemon Sun and Moon in 2016. So this gap year, this 2015, was supposed to be either a Pokemon X2 or Y2 or a Pokemon Z. We know that because we've kind of found the name for both of those games, implying that at one point it was one and it was changed to the other, but we don't know what was what. But in this, there was a map for a South Kalos. So you were supposed to visit South Kalos. Will it happen someday? I pray. I pray it does, because, come on. Man, X and Y was so close to being good. But that's a whole rant for another time. A rant I've actually already done. But yeah, guys, let me know which of these you would like to see in a Pokemon game soon. Let me know if you can think of some other examples of some regions that Game Freak has referenced, but we haven't quite been to. Let me know in the comments below. Be sure you check out the other video I did on some other regions that Game Freak has referenced. The Pokemon world is so big, and they are constantly expanding it, guys. And until next time, I will see all of you later.